Ever wonder why Adventure Time seems so whimsical and over the top? Like the main character Finn Mertens living with a magical stretching dog saving princesses made of gum. Me and many others have proposed a theory on why things are the way they are. Finn Mertens was a young rambunctious 12-year-old living with his pet dog called Jake. Finn would always pretend that he and Jake would go on adventures, fight monsters and help out princesses. However, the normality of the situation would not last long. One summer afternoon, Finn and Jake were out in their back garden playing like normal. Their parents had built them a treehouse to play in. After playing for some time, Finn would then take Jake up in his arms and proceed to carry him up to the treehouse where the two would relax. Finn unwrapped some gum that he got from the kitchen earlier and chewed on it while talking to Jake. "Man, Jake, we had so much fun today. I wonder what other kinds of adventures we'll get into tomorrow." "Woof woof," Jake responded. "Anyway, Jake, we best be going. Our mum must be sick about," Finn said before stopping. Was all that could be heard. Finn was choking on the gum he was chewing. In his struggle, he fell off the treehouse ladder and landed on his head. The last thing he saw before losing consciousness was Jake jumping down and running to him. Minerva Mertens and Martin Mertens, Finn's parents, immediately noticed what had happened, and they proceeded to sprint to Finn, pick him up and move him to their couch, and they called the police. 30 minutes later, the ambulance arrived and escorted Finn to the nearby hospital, where they immediately got him into the emergency ward, where they analysed his condition. About half an hour passed before Finn's parents found out what had happened to their son. "Mr. and Mrs. Mertens, I'm afraid Finn has fallen into a coma. The impact of the fall damaged his brain, and we don't know for how long he'll be in the coma for," the doctor said. Finn's parents began to cry when they realised the severity of what happened. Their only child was in a coma for who knows how long. There was nothing that could be done. During his coma, Finn dreams of epic adventures and comforting times in his coma world. Finn has Jake with him, but in his coma world, Jake has gained the ability to speak, can stretch to remarkable lengths, and keep him happy from the situation around him, hasn't to protect him. They live in their iconic treehouse because it gives Finn a feeling of being at home, and it was the last place he was before falling into the coma. Princess Bubblegum is derived from the gum he ate, which caused him to choke and lose his balance. But in his comatose world, she is loving and kind to him, and Finn rescues her often, like he and Jake always pretended to do. The Ice King represents Finn's uncle in the real world. He had developed Alzheimer's and would forget who he was and would act crazily. He and Finn always had a complicated relationship due to this, but his loving side would come out, and he truly did care about Finn when he could remember him. That's why the Ice King and Finn aren't friends, but aren't enemies either. As Finn would age in the real world, his comatose world would do the same. However, since Finn never discovered the changes that always happen during puberty, he will never change, he will always look the same. Flame Princess represents how he would imagine girls his age would act. She has a volatile personality and a short temper. Finn falls in love with her when he is going through puberty, so the awkward feelings during that time causes him to mess up that relationship when he purposely frames the Ice King and she fights him while Finn is living out his fantasies. Angry that she was betrayed, she left him. Finn would then take it easy on relationships for the time. In the real world, Martin and Minerva's relationship was crumbling. They constantly fought over spending money on Finn's healthcare, Martin believing Finn was a lost cause, and Minerva wanted to keep her son alive. A few months after Finn had turned 15, he developed a terrible infection in half of his right arm, and it was deteriorating. In Finn's comatose world, his mind turned it into a weapon that permanently bonded with him, and that became the grass sword. The doctors was forced to amputate his arm in order to stop it spreading. This was the final straw for Martin, and he abandoned his family and disappeared into the night, leaving Minerva heartbroken, lying next to Finn's bed. In his comatose world, Finn finally finds his father, and after meeting him, comatose Martin bails out on him. Finn, in an attempt to make him stay, holds on to his ship and tries to stop him. In the real world, they successfully amputated his arm, but in his comatose world, his arm was subjected to too much stress, and it snapped off, leaving the grass sword to float away into space. When comatose Finn fell into the citadel water, he grew a flower on the end of his stump. The flower represents depression, that he has after losing his primary arm. He attempts to get by in his day-to-day life, but is slowly losing hope. He eventually finds a bee called Breezy. She represents the hope that remains in Finn, but the depression pushes her aside, and Finn tries to ignore her love for him. He wandered through the forest, singing Lost in the Darkness, a song his mother used to sing to him as a lullaby when he was a baby. The song attempts to motivate Finn and drive him to push forward. As he is sleeping, he is awoken by Breezy, now a queen bee, singing the rest of Lost in the Darkness, while Finn groggily sings along. In the real world, Minerva is singing it to Finn after the amputation of his arm, in an attempt to give him the strength to leave his comatose world and escape to reality. In his comatose world, as Breezy concludes the song, Finn's depression slowly melts away, and the flower ghost grows to incredible size before blowing up, leaving only bark behind. After tearing off the bark, Finn finds his arm has grown back. However, it has a green thorn in it, signifying that his arm isn't actually real, but his hope and love for battle shall remain with him forever. He meets another love interest, Huntress Wizard. She represents the woman Finn wants to have, a strong, capable woman with a good heart and is determined to succeed in whatever she does. They hit it off well and both have a low-key crush on each other. However, they decide not to become romantically involved because being friends was better for both of them. Finn kindly accepts her rejection and moves on, showing his maturity and growth. Finn obtains the Finn Sword, which keeps the battle-ready and violent-loving alternate version of himself inside, signalizing he still has his childish and adventuring personality still left in him. Eventually, Finn's friend Susan Strong goes on a rampage due to the chip in her brain acting up. During the fight, Finn's grass arm goes crazy and proceeds to choke Susan almost to death, but after quickly realizing his love for violence was hurting the people he keeps close, he quickly punches his arm and retreats, saving Susan's life. However, Finn's grass arm merged with the Finn Sword to form the entity known as Fern. Fern represents Finn's built-up anger and insecurities. Fern attempts to live the life that Finn has, but is unable to due to his condition. He becomes more angry and confused. Finn, now realizing he can't run or hide from his problems, he instead confronts them and reassures Fern that there is always hope for moving forward. In the real world, Minerva had developed a contagious terminal illness and was not allowed to visit Finn anymore, so he allowed her to talk through the TV via video chat. In Finn's comatose world, he adventures off to the islands in search of humans and his mother. The time spent in the comatose world was wearing on Finn's mind, causing him to forget how other humans acted. A lot of danger and adventuring later, Finn finally lands on Founders Island, where he meets his mother for the first time in his comatose world. However, she is just a bunch of clones, and her consciousness was uploaded to the web, so she can never really have a physical body. Minerva was getting really bad with her illness, and was bedridden, so she couldn't speak at all with Finn anymore. In his comatose world, Minerva does not want to lose Finn, and she attempts to make him stay. This is his mind's attempt at denying the fact that he can no longer speak to his mother in his current condition. Eventually, Finn comes to accept the truth that he can no longer see his mother, and the two embrace for the final time. Finn leaves Founders Island with a lot more confidence and determination to push forward. However, Fern failed to keep Boo safe in Finn's absence and caused the elements to go awry. The elements represents Finn's emotions after leaving his mother. Yes, he did leave with confidence, but also with a broken heart. The ice represents his utter sadness. Nothing is happy, and all is slow, bitter and cold. The candy represent Finn's attempts to keep himself happy, being overly positive and trying to ignore and overpower the other emotions. The slime represents his mind trying to focus on other things and distracting himself from the real problems. And lastly, the fire represents the anger and pain he has after losing both of his parents in this world. Eventually, Finn controls his emotions and finally regains control of them. He knows they will never leave him, but he has accepted them for what they are. Fern, after realizing he was the cause of the elements incident, grows more and more evil, wanting to replace Finn and to not have to rival him with himself. Finn is captured by Fern and locked away, a metaphor for him being captured by his own insecurities. He could have stayed and protected Earl, but he didn't. He had to be selfish and pursue something for his own gain. Finn breaks out and fights Fern, the embodiment of his insecurities. He proposes that they just stop all the fighting and go home together. Fern denies this, and when Finn tries to reason with him some more, his metal arm shreds and thereby destroys Fern. He has come to terms with his insecurities, but is traumatized about killing his alternate self. Luckily, with the help of Huntress Wizard, he forgets it effectively moves on from his insecurities and grows stronger. When Finn turns 17, his friends throw him a party inside of the Candy Kingdom. Finn is happy and enjoys himself, until he is confronted by Fern going under the alter ego of the Green Knights. His insecurities return once more, because Finn is worried about growing into an adult and the life that lies ahead of him. The Great Gun War then commences, and Finn wants to stop the war and live in peace. A far cry from who he once was, and it shows how much he has evolved and matured. He hatches out his problems, and his friends do the same. Finn and Fern meet once again. Finn tries to convince Fern that they can defeat the grass demon that is controlling him. The grass demon represents the true insecurities and doubts that are controlling Fern. Upon killing it, Fern and Finn are finally at peace with each other. However, Fern begins to slowly disintegrate, since he has no physical body and will turn back into a sword again. This represents Finn finally being at peace with his insecurities. However, Golb appears and attempts to destroy everything. Golb represents Finn's comatose world, attempting to consume him and lock him in his fake world forever. All of Finn's friends sing and weaken Golb. This thereby gives Finn the strength to break free from him. In the real world, Minerva is on her deathbed and is on the verge of death. In her final moments, she hopes that Finn will break free from his coma and finally escape to reality. After that thought, the colour in her eyes faded, and she moved no more. In his comatose world, Betty sacrifices herself and drives Golb away, leaving Ooh destroyed, and the survivors to mourn the lost. After the dust settles, the light surrounding the world begins to drain, and everybody around him slowly disappears. Eventually, it was just Finn and Jake left. They embrace, and Jake says one last sentence to Finn before he disappears. "Keep pushing forward, Finn." Finn responds with, "I will, Jake." Moments later, Finn spots a very faint light in the distance. Keeping his promise he made to Jake, he sprinted towards the light, and when he touched it, everything disappeared. Finn inhales loudly as he wakes up. Doctors around him rush to treat him and keep him alive. It took months of recovery and physical therapy before Finn recovers. The real world is much darker than he thought it would be. Everything was different and much harsher. Finn discovers that Jake and Minerva have passed away, leaving Finn emotionally destroyed. He visited their graves, and after paying his respects, he leaves wondering what's the next chapter in his life will be. But no matter what comes next, it will always be adventure time.